morning. My name is Mary Singletary. I am the President Emeritus of the National Council of Women of the United States. And I have the pleasure and honor of welcoming you today on behalf of our board and executive board of the National Council. I am especially pleased and privileged to have this opportunity because we have a very, very unique, innovative program to present to you today. And we have very experienced speakers who should give you a lot of information about our unique program. As you could read in your program book, our program today will address the major issues of college and high school students having difficulty finding employment in their major or path of career intentions. And so we hope that today's session will at least give some ideas and some suggestions as what you can do if you are unable to find your major. We'll give you some idea on entrepreneurship, but maybe you may be able to start a small business in the meantime. And so with so many college students not finding employment or what they would like to do. So this program not only takes care of college students, giving them some ideas, but it could take care of others who would like to go into small business. And we have some students that will tell you the outcome of them taking this special course so that you will have some idea that this really, truly can work. Our keynote speaker, Dr. Rawls, who's the Dean of School of Business, the Medgar Evers College here in New York. We have Dr. Jacqueline Kiscato. She's from the Kenyatta University in Kenya. And so I am very happy and delighted that she's able to come and be with us. And she has brought with her one of her students. So at this point, I think I've talked long enough. And I would like to say greetings again. Welcome. We're delighted that you're here.
I bring you greetings from our president, Dr. Ruby Cruz, our provost, Augustine Uncle Ricky, and a host of Medgar Evers College faculty, staff, and students. We at Medgar Evers College owe our gratitude to our partners, the National Council of Women of the USA, and specifically to Mary Singletary, the President Emerita. We thank President Emerita Singletary. I told her, I hope I don't embarrass you, I call her Mom Mary like her clothes mentees, for her vision, her inspiration, her motivation, and sheer perseverance in convening this workshop. You really don't know how much she went through, late hours at night, doing all kinds of things, looking for resources for her. So please give her a hand for me. Let's give her a hand for me. I will take a few moments of your time today to talk about the charge for new leaders to reinvent the future. Why reinvent our future? Because the current trajectory from socioeconomic ills such as unemployment, and most importantly, underemployment, poverty, and despair globally, it is not sustainable. We were told yesterday, because I was at the consultancy, and it was a great program, by the way, we were told yesterday that the income inequality is worsening, and that 8 men own half the wealth in the world, and there is no indication that that trend will improve The New York Times International Edition published an article, The Future of Not Working. They're already thinking about what to do about people not working. And the people who are funding this research are in Silicon Valley, so they have forethought. They know what's coming down the line. So on February 24th, that was actually the day a team of Medgar's college students and faculty, we were leaving Nairobi, Kenya. In the summary article, it reinforced the concept that automation and high productivity of new systems may reduce the global demand for labor in the future, and alternative income sources for the poor, and I might add the working poor, may be needed. The article went on to describe a proof of concept testing universal income currently being piloted in one of Kenya's poorest villages. Why Kenya? Paradoxically, Kenya is a leading contributor to the fintech revolution in mobile applications, innovation, and development. And you'll hear more about that later in today's program. Yet Nairobi, where many multinational corporations are based, is home to some of the world's largest slums. And you'll see as the PowerPoint goes through, we were actually in one of the slums. And what we were told, because we had went there 3 times, and every time I went, I said, I want to see the slums. And we couldn't find anyone to take us. And the last time we were there, we understood that you have to be living there for them to give you access to it. And we wanted to see the entrepreneurs who were running and working in the slums. So what has happened is that many who come to the city find that there is a lack of capacity for the local economy to absorb the increased labor in the market, and many have few options for survival, and I call it entrepreneurship by survival. Many of them are doing entrepreneurship because they have no other way. So my friends and colleagues, we cannot accept the future as it is written. We must find ways to rethink, re-engineer, remake a future that will be sustainable for all. In my time with you, I'll share our story of changing lives through entrepreneurship. I will share with you stories of those we serve, and that would be our youth, and finally about the changing world of work and why we desperately need more entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs and job creators globally. I'm reminded of the August 28, 1963 March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom, when the legendary Mahalia Jackson sang the old, how many of you remember Mahalia Jackson? All right, I mean, she was powerful. Mahalia Jackson sang the old Negro spiritual, How I Got Over. A more contemporary quote for the younger folks in the room from our Brooklyn, New York brother Jay-Z. Difficult takes a day. Impossible takes a week. We started our international study of entrepreneurs last year at Startup Africa, Nairobi, Kenya, and launched to do the impossible. We broaden our knowledge of global entrepreneurship by traveling to 10 countries. We collaborated with colleagues such as Dr. Casato and published in excess of 10 papers. And those of you in the academy know how difficult that is. We participated in approximately 10 pitch competitions. We convened 2 international conferences and participated in many more. But this was not our story in 2015. And I'm sharing this with you today because I want you to know that together we can rewrite, reinvent, reinvigorate, reboot, restart our story anywhere, any day, any time. So let me share with you our 2015 story. Our students were willing and ready to travel and study abroad, but funding was a challenge. In 2015, 16 students signed up to travel to the U.S.-China Summit, of which 6 of our students were prepared to stay for entrepreneurship internships. And this is important that it was to China because most of our students, the demographics are they're either from a Caribbean or African American. We had no idea that they were interested in China. but funding was not available, and not a single one of those students experienced that life-changing opportunity. Today, I'm grateful for the experience of loss and desperation, for it was that pit of impossibility that motivated us to seek, to knock, and to pray for the opening of doors. I stand before you, and for some of you church people, I'm testifying, that last year 4 Medgar students went to Beijing, China in the spring. 10 students were in Beijing, Tokyo, Bangkok, and in 1 trip in the fall. Our students have studied entrepreneurs in Chile, Costa Rica, Jamaica, Dominican Republic, and Kenya. We have presented our findings at conferences in Paris, London, and right here in Manhattan. How did we go from our history of no funding, no resources, no programs? We never lost faith in the young people we serve. We understood that they are our future. They are the future leaders. They are our hope for survival for the turbulent times to come. During the summer and fall of 2015, we cold called foundations, corporations, and other donors. A few times we were invited to submit proposals. We told our story over and over. We received rejection after rejection. Finally, at the end of 2015, we had 3 awards which changed the destiny of those young people we served. And Startup Africa in Nairobi was our first stop for several different reasons. I usually in a presentation like this like to talk just a little bit about myself and where I come from so you understand who is in front of you. My 2 favorite quotes are from Ralph Waldo Emerson. One says, "Do not go where the path may lead, go instead where there is no path and leave a trail." And we have a lot of trailblazers in this room right now. My second quote, and this is for me personally, is, "What lies behind us," and that's the history, "what lies before us," and that may be some form of a future, "are small matters compared to what lies inside me." Many of our students are trailblazers in their education, careers, and businesses. For many of them, there is no family history of entrepreneurship. They must look deep inside their soul for its passion to guide them, grow them, and sustain them. We must prepare them to believe in the impossible. They then must work harder than they've ever worked before. They must be creative, resourceful, and intuitive. They must understand that innovation is a necessity because business as usual is a death sentence in a dynamic global economy. I always speak of my great-grandmother from Cat Island, Bahamas. Any Bahamas in the house? Hey! Because she was our maternal rock. She was a serial entrepreneur who could not read or write. Later in life, she was blind, yet she had phenomenal vision. I always speak of my own journey of being the first in my family to earn a college degree, and now all of my siblings, and even half dozen, have college degrees, and 4 out of 6 have advanced degrees.
Whoa.
Thank you. It's hard. My sisters will tell you. My family was honored last month at the University of Miami for producing the largest number of graduates from a single family in the history of that university. We were to have a few high school students here, like 75, and they must have gotten caught up in the traffic, but I wanted to tell them today that I almost was a dropout. I almost dropped out of high school. I'm old enough such that my secondary schooling was segregated, and when they bused us to an integrated school, I didn't understand race and class. I had no idea what that was. And in the 10th or 11th grade, I had my first economics and political science courses that changed my personal trajectory. It was then that I reinvented my future. I went from almost dropping out at 14 to a PhD degree program at 21. Yesterday in the session, we were told that mainstream economic policy has failed and that only 10% of the world economists are women. So young women of the future, we need you to help view the world economic order through a different prism. So no matter where you are on your journey, you can determine to change your destiny and the destiny of those closest to you. To the young women in the room, or to all the women in the room, really, how many of you have brothers? How many of you have brothers? Don't leave them behind.
Well,
We need them. I only have one brother, he's going to be shocked, and I'm blessed to have him here with us today. We call him LJ. LJ, please stand. Please I am his eldest sister, and his youngest sister is sitting next to him. Okay, he's going to get embarrassed now. An abbreviated part of his story, and I'm going to tell him, LJ, is he dropped out of high school in Miami. That's me, his eldest sister, and his youngest sister, who's sitting right by his side. We put our arms around him and we plucked him out of Miami. He didn't want to leave, but we plucked him out. And we brought him to Washington, D.C., where we were. It is there that he finished his high school and later went on to earn a bachelor's and a master's and reinvented his future for himself and his family. That's my brother. I look like the proud big sister. Ladies, we can't afford to leave anyone behind. We need everyone. Friends and colleagues here today, if there is no pact, together we can make one. If we find the way blocked, we can retool, seek help, and transform. Now I'm going to talk to you a little about some of the major corporations. They are transforming worldwide to grow and sustain in a diverse and a dynamic global marketplace. Last month I was at Microsoft right here in New York, and I'll share with you their vision for their corporate transformation. And it could apply to a lot of the different corporations, but Microsoft is the one I had the pleasure of visiting. And this is what they believe. We believe in what people make possible. Our mission is to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. How do they plan to execute on such a bold vision? Their world view. Their soul is mobile, and I'm not talking about the app per se, and I'm not talking about your handheld device. Their soul is mobile and cloud first. They want to reinvent productivity and business processes that innovate and disrupt the status quo. They are customer obsessed, focused on the experience of the customer and not on the experience of the firm. Microsoft has transformed their value system, and their culture is one of growth mindset versus fixed mindset. And I'll talk a little bit about what growth mindset is in a minute. They are going to be diverse, and for a very good business reason. Diverse and inclusive is a part of their identity, understanding that varying backgrounds contributed to successes, making a difference. So what can we learn from the global technology giant that started a few decades ago with a small group of entrepreneurs? One, we must have a vision. We must believe in the transformation. We must build and develop teams. But most of all, we must believe our passion to make the journey. We got to believe that we can do it. Two, we must set a mission that is shaped and guided by our collective vision. It should be clear and powered by our very souls, because we will have many challenges and obstacles in our path. But if our vision and our souls are aligned, when we fall, we will rise. Three, we must get past the launch mindset. I'm going back to the growth mindset that I talked about. We are here. We are on our path to growth. We must find ways and strategies to nourish and sustain our growth and the growth of the future leaders we serve. We must find ways to mentor them, expand their networks, help them feed their souls, help them feed their passions. Four, the world of global business is different. Diversity of culture, diversity of skills, diversity of disciplines, and diversity of needs. We must find ways to surround ourselves with difference so that we understand the different prisms of opportunity. How can we develop solutions to problems that we don't know exist? We must be driven and obsessed by our experience of our young leaders. I remember last year, I was considering canceling a trip. and I'm going to call her out. She's not expected. I was sitting in Washington about to go into the house of one of my friends who works in the White House right now, and she wanted some consoling. So before I went to console her, I was talking to my student, and I said, I'm thinking about canceling the trip. And she said, B, you can do what you want to do, but I will tell you the last conference we went to changed my life. So tell me, friends and colleagues, how do you calculate the return on investment of a changed life? You don't. You just do it. So in our growth mindset, I encourage you to shed that cloak of normalcy. We must become extraordinary storytellers, delivering our message of excellence on demand, live, digital, and in print. We must have a broad global footprint that shares our stories facilitated by digital and other media. We must become fearless voyagers, seeking adventures of the unknown and difference. We must channel our passion to strategies that create, innovate, and disrupt the status quo. We must be willing to fail, as most entrepreneurs fail before they succeed. We must be willing to learn. As we learn, we continue to grow and improve our ability to sustain and adapt to change. We must be willing to be comfortable with ambiguity and uncertainty, for there we will find opportunity. Finally, we must be willing to change, for in change we will reinvent the future that has never existed before. So in the shadows of history, we come humbly before you, our institution bearing the name of a heroic leader who helped transform the destiny of many lives. Many of you may have heard of Medgar the man. He was a civil rights and social justice advocate willing to fight for change. He was a believer in the power of a vision for justice. He's quoted as saying, you can kill a man, but you can't kill an idea. Medgar the man was shot down and killed, but his vision for change and social justice lived on at Medgar College. I'll briefly share with you our mission through the life of just one of our recent graduates, and his name is Christian Waterman. Christian is an only child and has been the only male in his household most of his life. Christian is also a third-generation resident of Ebbetsfield Apartments, and that becomes the projects, across the street from our campus. Between his mother and his grandmother, they have been residents in that apartment for almost 40 years. Christian's dream as the very first college graduate in his family is to lift the family out of Ebbetsfield to the world that they have, to a world where they have a home alone. Christian describes himself as a social entrepreneur. He was tired of guns, drugs, and violence in his neighborhood. Christian started his company in order to save the world, eliminate poverty, and establish peace. Those are his words, they're not mine. How do you prepare any student for such broad ambition? This young man was already thinking of growth and sustainability. But how do you go beyond recognizing the need for growth to executing on growth? As I shared earlier, you seek help, you retool, and you transform. Christian graduated from Medgar in May of 2015. Christian's business, however, continued being supported by us, while he also completed his MBA with honors in August 2016. When he was done, he came back to support and help grow the businesses of his fellow peers who are here with us today. Will the members of EEL please stand up? Stand up, y'all. Stand up. Our students are the living legacy and spirit of Medgar Wiley Evers, seeking a bold vision of social justice and equality, fortified by a determination not to quit no matter what, and focus on the idea of change for the social good. Our students and the generations that follow will face technology we have not seen in our lifetime. The next generation will experience a new revelation based on artificial intelligence, nanoscience, nanotechnology, and the like. That will definitely fundamentally change work as we know it today. Many traditional jobs will be replaced by a generation of robots and highly sophisticated computers. The multinational corporations of the world don't have enough capacity to hire all the Christian watermen of the world that the colleges and the universities produce globally. We must become our own job creators, job innovators, and entrepreneurial disruptors in a world that is not colorblind. Like Medgar, we must be willing to stand tall in our conviction that change must come or the next generation will perish in a growing class of poverty and despair. Education was once the great equalizer. Now you will find a growing educated underclass with limited opportunities. This is not a one college, one country, or one race peril. It is a global crisis faced in Latin America, Africa, Asia, and yes, North America. I'm getting ready to talk about North America right now. In New York City, specifically Brooklyn, where we are from, Medgar College was founded to serve the needs of the community. We connect the community through many, many outreach programs. You will hear of the regentrification, transformation of Brooklyn. Know that it is not transforming the same for everyone. Many small businesses and entrepreneurs in our community did not adapt, did not change, did not retool, and have been swallowed in a sea of obsolescence and slumber in the graveyards of shut down storefronts. In the true spirit of community economic development, Medgar has joined the Brooklyn Navy Yard in a partnership to accelerate the growth of tech-based businesses through its Startup New York program that serves as a hub of innovation. In the first cohort, there are 5 Startup New York companies with which we are affiliated. One was started by 2 white males, one was started by 1 white female, one was started by 3 black males, and one was started by a black female. Talk about diversity. We come to the workshop with a spirit of mutual collaboration, seeking support in our joint goal of job creation for our children. Within the last 6 months, we have initiated 4 international agreements with diverse institutions, including Kenyatta University, because the world we compete in is beyond Brooklyn, beyond New York, beyond the U.S. It is global. Our children, if they are to survive like Microsoft, must walk and talk in diverse cultures with diverse skills and be driven by a fearless obsession to understand the experience of those we serve. So as you think about the return on your investment, the ROI, for the time you spend here today, remember we must reinvent and transform our future, then channel the passion in our collective souls to grow and sustain the better and brighter world we live in. But if you really want to leverage that ROI, if you want to change the world, stand with us, a growing number of dedicated men and women who believe in the vision of global entrepreneurial thinking, creators of opportunity, creators of change, change that transforms destinies of generations to come. I close with a quote from the great visionary leader, Nelson Mandela. Do not judge me by my successes. Judge me by how many times I fell down and got back up. We may fall, my friends, but together we will rise and reinvent our future. May God bless and keep you. Thank you so very much.
Inspired us, and I think motivated us to do a number of things when we return to our homes and to our workplace. So now our next speaker will tell you how to do this. This is Jacqueline Sato from Kenya. She's from the Kenyatta University. She's a lecturer and a mentor at the university and a master trainer in entrepreneurship for youth in Africa. May I present to you our next speaker, Dr. Jackson.
afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Jambo.
Jambo.
Hamza, I see you understand Swahili. I am honored to be here. My name is Jackie Kisato. I am a lecturer at Kenyatta University. I teach fashion design and marketing, but I love IT and anything entrepreneurship. So I kind of balance between the two. I'm also mentoring right now students in Chandaria Business Innovation and Incubation Center, where we take anyone with innovative ideas and give them space and room to grow their ideas. Besides that, I partner and train entrepreneurs across Africa, and we do this by teaching them action training in entrepreneurship. Now, perhaps I should give you a landscape of how Kenya is. We are talking a population of close to 45 million people. 60% of that population is between ages 15 and 35. Employment in the corporate sector is not very much growing, so we have a lot of unemployment. A university like Kenyatta University has 60,000 students who come in every academic year, and we graduate roughly about 10,000 students, a lot of those students in the art areas. This means, therefore, chances of getting employment in blue-collar jobs or white-collar jobs is very limited. So we have had this problem in Kenyatta University for the last 10 or so years, and the Vice Chancellor who was then there, I'm glad to say it was a lady called Professor Olive Nyenda, took the initiative to create entrepreneurship opportunities for these students. The idea was to change the mindset. A lot of students come to university, want to get a degree and knock to an office and get a job, but that wasn't very easy anymore. So we had to change their mindset to make them entrepreneurs or intrapreneurs. That is how Chandaria Business Innovation Incubation Center was born in 2012. Currently, we have about 70 students who are incubated because they have to be very innovative students with great ideas. 3/4 of that group is in the fintech area. They will either be doing something that has some IT in it. They will use a lot of mobile technology. So we have a lot of coding. My student who's going to be presenting soon is called Bob, and he is, of course, a great coder. He teaches me one or two things when my computer hangs up. I'm old school. I will not state my age. So, that being the challenge, therefore, you will find a lot of our entrepreneurs come up with ideas that have technology. You were told Kenya is big on fintech. Have you heard of M-Pesa? M-Pesa is mobile money. M for mobile, Pesa for money, Swahili for money. What we do in Kenya is I can send you money on your phone and you cash it out to the nearest Safaricom teller and you get the money and you don't have to go to a bank. This idea was rooted because we had a lot of unbanked people in Kenya, and somebody decided, what if you could transfer money on mobile phone? So what happens is I send money and deposit it to a particular vendor. They send it to you, you get a text message that tells you 100,000 shillings has been sent to your account. Then you go to another vendor of the same mobile subscriber and you cash it out. And this kind of transaction is said to have 6 billion transacted on a daily basis across that kind of transfer. I know for Americans it's hard to understand because you like a lot of paper trails, signing this, signing that. In Kenya, we do not want to sign anything. We are good with it. Now that M-Pesa platform has enabled businesses to grow in all manner of areas. Think about a lady who's selling vegetables on the side of the road. How does she keep her money safely? Because if she's selling vegetables and she makes a bit of money, somebody can easily mark her and get the money. The best way is save it in your phone as a message. Nobody can steal it from you. So it has really helped us to grow a sector of mobile money that is said right now to be a case study for most of the other countries. Now, within Kenyatta University also, in the incubation center, our greatest challenge has been getting ladies to come into the incubation center. I'm sorry to say right now we're talking about 15% of the population is ladies. So perhaps I can ask here, why don't women go into entrepreneurship? For us in Africa, the big challenge is culture. When I was growing up, I was a bit of that kid who did not follow the rules. By age 17, I tried to make a step-up transfer they blew out the house electricity. My mother, who was a banker, was very harsh. She told me, go and report it to the power people and tell them what you did. When I walked there, they laughed at me and told me, go back home, we don't believe. Now speak about that scenario. If it was a boy, it would have been slightly different. You would have been taken to an electrical school and shown how to work around this. So what is this we do for the girls that they avoid coming to entrepreneurship? The other challenge with entrepreneurship for girls is when you walk in there, you have to be aggressive, assertive, and fight your way through. You do that as a woman in Africa, chances are you will not be married very soon. And chances are you will have a lot of people judging you by how aggressive you are in society. So these are the challenges we face as women who are trying to be entrepreneurs in Africa. The cases that have been told of successful women entrepreneurs are few, but they also tell you about their struggles. They really have to fight in those boardrooms. The other challenge you have with entrepreneurship is it takes a lot of time and commitment. By the time you get through university, in most African and maybe Kenyan universities, you're roughly age 24 at a public university. You're supposed to start thinking of marriage and bearing children. Now, if you go into entrepreneurship, give yourself 6 years of hard work, maybe 10 years of really hard work. Chances are you might choose to delay that. And again, that is not looked upon very well in my society. Because it is expected, you are supposed to go on ahead and fulfill God's commandment. Okay, you're supposed to go and fulfill God's commandment, which was go on and multiply. So you can see we have challenges as women to become successful entrepreneurs. We have struggled in Kenyatta University to try and encourage ladies to get into entrepreneurship by involving them in scenarios, still not very successful for the women, by involving them in student training entrepreneurship programs, where we give them actual money, give them a trial run where they try and grow their businesses. But we are still talking of a 30-40 take-up of entrepreneurship among the girls. So it's still a challenge for us, and we hope with the coming years it will grow. Another area I was interested in looking at is entrepreneurship is something a lot of women do. They start small and micro businesses. But if you look on the higher end, there are very few women-owned businesses that are in the multinational level. So what happens in between? Why aren't we growing women businesses and they become the Microsofts? Among the 8 richest men in the world, is there a woman even number 55? No. Where are the women? What happened to all the women that were entrepreneurs we heard about as they were growing up? So in Africa, the challenge about growing from a micro to a large enterprise has to do a lot with accessing finance, has to do a lot with the kind of training. A lot of women are not very well educated, and if they are educated, you are supposed to get into the family way, and that means a husband comes in and there's a bit of change in dynamics. As you were told yesterday, sometimes when you have family commitment, you're supporting the relatives and other people in your family, you cannot involve yourself fully in a business that is not giving you profit. Whereas a man is allowed to do that, women are supposed to be more short-term oriented in production and supporting your family. So these, again, are some of the challenges that face women as we build businesses in Africa. Now, in Kenyatta University, we had a vice chancellor who was a lady who accomplished a lot of success for the university. Now, unfortunately, when you choose to be a leader and stand out like a woman, your life is scrutinized 360 degrees. So if you ever fall into any mistake, if you're ever caught in any corruption, you're judged twice as harshly. So most women shy away from these opportunities. And those are the few challenges that we have as we struggle to make entrepreneurship work. Is Kenyatta University doing something? Yes, it is. We're very honored to have a lady like Dean Roll who meets us and comes and encourages to push ahead and see that we succeed in entrepreneurship. We're also very lucky to have students that love IT and they challenge you with the grand ideas that they're creating. But I must admit, we do not have enough women coming to the table to participate in this. While I stand here, I hope I'll be more accepted in my society as I become an aggressive leader in entrepreneurship. And I do hope there'll be an African man who is there as we are.
President Kenyatta, Dean Roll, all the guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm so honored to be here today to speak for you. So when I got an invite, I just want to say, when I got an invite to come to this conference and I saw the theme, I first of all felt a little weird, given that it's a women conference. But then I want to thank Dean Roll, who invited me so much, because I saw her wisdom, that why would she invite me? Because I'm someone who has seen the role of women, and especially in the changing work environment. First of all, and also I'm somebody who is interested in helping or working with more women and ladies from the work that I have done, or from whatever I've done. How I've worked with the ladies or women before in ensuring that we get them to be trained on skills that are necessary for them to work. And then what I'm going to talk about today is one, I'm going to give a case study of 3 ladies whom I've worked with. So these are ladies from Kenya. We worked with them in organizations. Some of them were fellow students with me at Kenyatta University. And then I'm going to also talk about the student entrepreneurship program that I was part of at Kenyatta University. And uniquely is how ladies, especially in the team that I was, the unique features that I saw in those women, the unique features that I saw in these young girls as we went through that program, something that as the male counterparts or the men didn't have. Because as the men, we are very good at getting ourselves immersed into the technology. We can spend a lot of our time even Googling or doing all these things online about the technology. But then there is something unique about these women, there's something unique about these young ladies that I have noticed as we work together with them in organizing events, in training sessions, in ensuring that we produce something that we can teach before people. So my name is Bob Afwata. I recently graduated from Kenyatta University. I recently finished at Kenyatta University Electrical Engineering. And then I did electrical engineering. So right now I'm working at a small farm in Nairobi that makes electronic components. That we make a modem and a router which is used to access the internet. But the main aim here today is, as I've said, so one of the things that I noted about these ladies is, I'll mention them and you can check them online, you can look at their LinkedIn profile. There is one lady called Mercy Orangi. So we worked with her. She currently works at the Google's head office that is in there in Nairobi. And it was very nice that Dean Roll noticed that in Nairobi or in Kenya, these tech giants are there. Like Facebook, they're even having an event this week in Nairobi. Even the CEO was in Kenya and noted the mobile money payment system that he actually tweeted that he has come to learn how Kenyans did it or what they did with the mobile money. Then the tech giants like Microsoft are there, even Google has their head offices there. But then in contrast also is the slums, which are very informal, which have very pathetic living standards going on there. So how comes this is happening? And it becomes even worse for the women or for the young ladies. Because how comes we can be having these big tech giants having their head offices, which means there is something they have seen in Kenya. They are not having as many of these offices and or as many of their activities in other African countries, for example in Tanzania or in Uganda. Their presence is not as much compared to Kenya. But then how comes there is also this contrast of low or very poor living standards? And then also the challenges that young women get, especially in the job market. So we worked with Mercy from 2012 when I joined Kenyatta University. She was senior to me. She graduated earlier than me. So one thing that I noted, or which some role of women or some role of young ladies, that she was such an excellent organizer of tech events. Like if we would call, she worked with Google. She was still a student, but then she was an ambassador. So there is this program that is called Google's Student Ambassador. Intel, the tech giant, also has got their own student ambassador program. Microsoft, all these tech companies in Kenya, they have got their student ambassadors. So I have seen when these ladies become part of these programs, they are excellent in helping these tech giants and even the old university to organize these tech events. And then they are nice. For us, the male counterparts, we would come and find the room has been well decorated, the projector is there, and then we will just plug in our computer and start showing the audience like the technology or whatever is present, and people would get to coding and all that. But then the people who sometimes they don't get the credit are the female counterparts who they come early at these events. They make sure that we get food. They make sure that we get proper, nice merchandise. The room is well decorated. But then the male counterparts will just come and do the tech stuff. Something that I noticed about Mercy also is she's excellent on. They're excellent also on helping us bring the aesthetics of whatever we are making. Yeah. Having done electrical engineering, we deal a lot with wires and all these funny things. Sometimes there is smoke in where we are working in our desk. But then to make sure that this thing is presentable before an audience who can buy something, the female friends and counterparts, part of our team, has been so useful. Then there is also, there is also a friend of mine, she's called Juliet Wanyiri. I have worked with her in the past 1 year to run workshops called Fundi Workshop. So Fundi, it's F-O-O-N-D, F-O-O-N-D-I. So what we do is we run workshops daily, and this is also tied to entrepreneurship, because we run these workshops and then the participants would pay a little amount of money to attend these workshops so that we would facilitate the food, the transport and all this. So what she does is, majorly you find that when we organize these workshops, she would help us in all this organizing, doing all this kind of thing. But something which was particular is that when we would, after doing all this, the investors, because what we do is we organize these workshops and then we would call investors for a pitch competition to see what our participants have done. Then they came to tell us that even though this technology is very great, people building nice games and all this, we needed to have a design workshop where people would think critically about the user experience and the user interface, making sure that it is presentable. Whatever we are making is something that someone can buy. It has got a nice feel. So I noticed that for the male or the men, very few of us, almost none, could do this. So she was very useful. There is one workshop that we received even the highest level of rating when people came. Yes. So this is what we noticed. Then finally, so one thing that I have noted is we need to engage more women in the tech environment. And then by engaging them also, there are one or two things that we need to do that may bring more of them aboard. Thank you so much.
Hi everyone, my name is Ashley Warmington. I was a student in Higher.
Right next
I
to
was
the
a
G.
student in the EL lab, and what I wanted to talk about was change and impact from the point of view of a CEO. When people ask me, how did I get into entrepreneurship, it always starts with a conversation with Dean Roll. She was the one who pushed me into entrepreneurship. I didn't think I was capable of doing it. I thought it was something that I would do when I would retire from the sciences. And from one conversation with her, I realized that it was possible and that she was willing to stand beside me and push me and give me the resources needed to go forward. So I just have to say thank you. And I would also like to thank the students in the EL lab as well. Like, that was an amazing experience. Being a part of the lab, hearing all the different students' ideas, all the things that they wanted to do, from Christian Washington, it was a great experience. It gave me a lot of hope for the future of what we can accomplish. The Full Bridge program, which was another part of being part of the EL lab, they gave us the tools, the education needed to actually pursue entrepreneurship. They gave us classes in marketing, communications, financial statements, things that now I've been running my company. It's been a year in July, so a year and a half. I meet entrepreneurs now that don't know anything about financial statements, and because I was part of the EL lab, I know how to do a financial statement. I'm very proud of that. Before I had a company, I just had an idea, and my idea was tested, it was stretched, it was pushed, and then eventually it was propelled into a full-fledged company, which is called Cozy Oasis. We offer property management and concierge for short-term rentals in the home sharing economy. I started this out originally looking to do concierge for New York City residents, and then I found that Airbnb hosts needed this for their guests. So that was where the testing and stretching and pulling came, and I finally came up with what my company is going to do. Becoming an entrepreneur has dramatically changed my life. I can't stop talking about it. Everybody I come into contact with, if you have an idea, I'm encouraged to show you how you can build that into a company. It's not fair to just have an idea and be fearful to not make it into something. You know, they say the richest place in the world is the graveyard, because that's where all the great ideas go to die. Exactly. It's true. Becoming an entrepreneur has changed all of my relationships, all of my activities, what I read, what I watch, my entire life. I've actually pushed my sister, who's in fashion, to start her own company. She'll be coming out with a purse line soon. And that's I have the opportunity to not only change my life through entrepreneurship, but my family and the generations that come after me, my children. When you think of people like Rockefeller, Carnegie, Vanderbilt, it all started with just one person who's brave enough to innovate, to struggle and succeed. That was it. It doesn't take anybody special, just fight through it. And as an agent of change, I have the opportunity to make a company that has a global impact and not just profit, which is what a lot of people sometimes focus on. They don't realize what kind of impact you have socially and politically. Back in October, I had the opportunity to be a keynote speaker on a home sharing panel. There are politicians there, people within real estate, a lawyer to talk about the multiple dwellings law, and I could have taken that opportunity to talk about the financial benefits of being a part of the home sharing economy, but I instead decided to talk about conscious capitalism in the home sharing economy, because I realized that you're dealing with people's homes, you're dealing with real estate, you're dealing with the government, you're dealing with the law. And I was able actually I took the next step to work with the lawyer that was on that panel to create an educational video for people to understand the multiple dwellings law, because I felt I can't just stand here and make money off of people and not actually explain to them how to do this correctly. It's my job to do that. And I did that, and now it's on YouTube. But yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about. It's just, impact and change. That it's not about just making a profit. You have to think about what kind of impact you have on your immediate surroundings and everybody who's watching you, who you're encouraging, all the people that you are making a profit off of, just to think about that down the long road. What type of position you want to see yourself as, not just a CEO, but as a leader, as a thought leader in your field. So that's where I'm at right now.